Okay, maybe we should start slowly, and then the participants will have time, like 2 or 3 minutes. We will not start yet. So first of all, just to say hello, everybody who are joining us now, and welcome to today's webinar, NFT and Business. My name is Jovana Joksimović, and I am IP officer in the Science and Technology Park Belgrade. This webinar is organized in the cooperation with the Swiss Federal Institute for Intellectual Property as a part of the project Tehnopark Srbija 2, encouraging experts throughout the development of technology parks with the support of the Switzerland government. And this project is implemented by the Science and Technology Park Belgrade. Today with us are the speakers, one from Switzerland, Christian Di Giorgio, principal at Inacta company, located in the CryptoValley Zug, which is also a co-founder of CryptoValley Association and Swiss Blockchain Federation. Christian is also a lecturer at Institute of the Applied Science and co-author of the book Life from the Crypto Valley. Welcome, Christian.
Thank you.
And one Serbian speaker, Bogdan Vujović. He is co-founder and partner in Eko Digital, first full-scale tokenization company in Serbia. Bogdan is specialized in legal advisory related to digital assets and tokenization, and he is also an author of the book called Guide Throughout the World of Digital Assets and DeFi. Welcome, Bogdan. I hope we all can learn something about NFTs and how it's functioning in business today. I will give the floor for our first speaker, Christian. Just a second, all your questions, write please in comments. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Jovana, for the introduction. I'll start by sharing my screen and see what we'll see. There you go. So you should see now my presentation in full screen. As Jovana said, if you have clarification questions, you just drop them in the chat, and then we'll address them right away. If it's more like a discussion, we'll we'll put it to the end. My name is Christian from Switzerland. Inacta, we're a specialized company in the blockchain space here in Switzerland, co-author of this book, as mentioned here, and by Jovana, Live from CryptoValley, is an introductory book to basically to blockchain and what can be done with that and why is it useful. Quickly, what we do a lot of things in the area of digitalization, and we have then a specialty in this blockchain and crypto space. We've been around in this area for quite some time now. We started a few initiatives, the CryptoValley associations, the blockchain federations. Our new baby, let's call it like that, is the Crypto Oasis in Dubai. They have no valleys there, so we had to find another name. And basically what we do is we try to network and put together all the good ideas and the best ideas and make the world a little better. A few projects and things that we do to demonstrate a little bit our capability and why I'm talking to you right now. We've been building systems based on blockchain for quite some time. We have our own products. We have TokenGate, tokenization platform, crypto payment system. We did the crypto stamps of the Swiss Post, these things here. I'll come back to those later. And we have also done a few other projects for example, in supply chain management. So what we basically can say is that we can apply blockchain technology to a wide variety of industries and use cases. Now, the topic of today is NFTs. NFTs have come to let's say, worldwide recognition because of a hype of a few months ago where everybody was talking about them, and it seemed to be the only thing that everyone was doing. I would like to give you a little bit of context and to help you understand what are NFTs, how do they work, and what can be used for. Now, as a quick, let's say, on-ramp introduction into the topic, we're discussing tokenization. What is tokenization in this area? And as we've seen, Bogdan is also an expert in that, especially on the legal part, which is let's say, in some aspects, the more interesting part. But the idea basically is the following: you take something that has some, let's say, some value. It can be a physical object, digital object, whatever it is, and you turn it. So you basically record it onto a system. Let's call it a blockchain, and you divide that piece into many parts, digital representation that we call tokens. And now you have these tokens, which is a digital representation of something, and you can distribute those tokens to people, to their holders, as we call them. So this is in a nutshell what we mean with tokenization: turning something into digital tokens and then assign and distribute, sell those tokens to holders. Now, the blockchain technology is, so you can do this in many ways, but blockchain technology is basically been, I'm not saying being invented for this, but it's very useful to do this kind of work. Now, the interesting thing is that you can basically take anything that you can represent in a digital form and represent it in form of a token on a blockchain. And this can be literally, nowadays, literally anything, because we have, even in the physical world, we have, this IoT, smart meters in the energy industry. We have, intelligent cars, smart homes, whatever. And all these, even physical objects, can be represented in a digital form. So they can be represented in form of a token on a blockchain. You have, immaterial goods, digital pictures. We come to that later. Even electricity, there are this microgrid idea where you can really trade and transfer electricity in your neighborhood and then settle the transactions using blockchains. And the interesting, also, let's say, more straightforward ways is if you have contractual rights, licensing rights, like a share. A share is one of the easiest example you can think. You can represent, you can record the share of a company in form of a token on a distributed ledger, so on a blockchain, and then basically do whatever you want to do with the share. You can sell it, you can hold it, and then you can arrange all sorts of automated activity attached to that. The important part, which is that what Bogdan will address later on, is what is the actual paperwork attached to that token. A digital token is one element, but the important thing to understand is what is actually the legal setup, the paperwork that is represented by this token. Now, these NFTs, the buzzword that came up a few months ago, it was actually a very old idea to have these tokens, so-called non-fungible tokens. And basically, the idea of NFTs is these are tokens, and the idea of the definition of non-fungible or non-fungibility is basically this: each token is uniquely attached to a unique object. So there is this one-to-one relationship. And non-fungible means it's non-interchangeable. If I have this specific phone, is this one specific object. So if I give it to you, then it's gone from me. It's not just anyone, it's just this exact piece here. And this is basically what NFTs are all about. These are tokens, as I've explained, but there is this idea of a unique link to something. And my token is not equal to your token. And this we see in a few examples, like here depicted. We have this, for example, CryptoPunks. These are funny digital pictures. There are 10,000 unique. Each one is different, and I own one of those, number 7804, for example. We have other artworks, the Salvador Mundi, number 118. And this is where we also can use this NFT idea to link physical objects using, for example, things like this. So sort of labels that have a way to link, so the physical label, a way of linking in this way through a QR code, but we can also use an NFC chips. But the point is, this label is uniquely linked, which is attached to a physical object, is uniquely linked to its what we call the digital twin, so its digital representation, which can be in form of a token. And we know tokens can be distributed to people, can be assigned, can be held in wallets, and so on. And basically, NFTs can be used, as I use here in a tagline, on the bottom of my page. These are basically like digital deeds and proof of ownership of something. Because if I have a token, and if you know a little bit how blockchain works in technical terms, if I own this token, means I have the password, the so-called private key to that token. It's only me who can be defined as the owner of that token. And if that token is assigned or linked to an object, a physical one or a digital one, then one can say I am the owner of that object. I can identify myself as the owner of that object. That's why we say it's a proof of digital ownership of something. Now, again, the distinction between fungible and non-fungible token, as I already said, non-fungible token are tokens that represent unique objects, implying that each object is different, has a unique identity, let's call it like that, a serial number, if you want. Whereas fungible tokens, these are let's say the normal ones, so to speak, is the coins that you use to exchange, the cryptocurrencies and other things. So they are interchangeable. If I have €1 or one crypto dollar, it doesn't matter which one it is. It's just one, and I can exchange with something else, and it's $1 is $1. It doesn't matter if it's number 13 or 27. And that's the difference between, or the distinction between, the fungible and non-fungible tokens. The usage of those tokens is, given that distinction and the difference, it's basically that what makes their usage different. So if I have a fungible token, usually used as a utility or some sort of a value exchange, it's typically used as a means of exchange, as a payment means, or as a sort of a voting rights. If I have non-fungible tokens, it's more to use like in cases where I have collectibles, or more this like one-to-one relationship. And these NFTs, like I mentioned in the last on the right side, the last point, these tokens, the NFTs, are usually synchronized, and that's I think an important word, with some other assets that is attached to it. That's what I've said before. It can be a physical object, a digital one. These crypto stamps, for example, each physical stamp is linked to a digital picture. Well, in this case, in this specific case, it's a video. It's a small video. So if you go here, if you own one of these, you basically own one video. And so let's see a few examples where they've been used, these NFTs. Let's say the first one, or the most used one currently, is digital art. So you have a piece of digital art, and you can buy or possess the token to that specific piece. And also here there are many different ways to do this, but one token is attached to a piece of a collectible of digital art. There are more famous ones and less famous ones, but the point is my token represents the ownership of one of these digital art pieces. There are a few examples. What you see here is the Hein Gravenhorst. That's the black and white, a famous digital photographer, or no, let's say no, analog photographer that does digital representations of it. The one in the middle below is the crypto art is called. It was one of the first projects, for example, using this technology. You can do this kind of collections, like I was discussing before. For example, the CryptoPunks. It's a collection of 10,000 different so-called profile pictures. Well, they're basically pictures, but they be used as a profile for Instagram, Twitter, and social medias. The interesting thing of these CryptoPunks is that when they were launched in 2017, they were basically worthless. There was like a giveaway, or they were sold for very little money. Now, since there is a very frenzied market behind it, each one is worth a few millions. That's how sometimes the market works. But the interesting thing is that you don't own any rights to the picture itself. You just own the token to the picture, but there is basically no rights attached to that one. Now, Bogdan, I think I can then address or explain a little bit how that works. Another example is this Bored Apes, similar concept, but the idea that they had is that they, right from the beginning, they assigned to each of these tokens, or to the token holder, they assigned a right to participate in the community. They have this website, which is only accessible, it's like a paywall, if you want, is only accessible to holders of these NFTs. So in order to access the website and do whatever this website allows you to do, you need to demonstrate that you own one of these tokens, and you do that by opening up your wallet and sign in if you want, like instead of using username and password, you sign with a private key that holds these tokens, which is handled and managed by your wallet. And these collections are, they have basically a similar theme, underlying theme, and then different variations, so-called attributes or traits, so-called traits. One is a cap, the other has not, and one is a beard, the other is not, glasses, a cigarette, whatever, different traits and attributes. There are also more like collectibles, the Panini stickers, for example, for soccer players and then soccer teams. There are many of those right now. You can have for many teams have made their own Panini stickers. I assume you're familiar with that with that company that does the physical stickers. And basically, it's the same thing replicated in the digital world. You buy this collectible of a player. Usually, you can have only one. So there are different variations, but there is a team here in Switzerland. They have done they have just for each player there is only one. And then if you have the the goalie, if you have the defense, if you have they have built like a game out of it, or more like a gamification that you have, if you have the complete team, or only the 3 goalies and so on, you can unlock a few other features. The crypto stamps, as I mentioned, is a regular stamp that you can use to send packages and letters, but each stamp has attached an NFT, so a piece of digital art attached to it. And this is the idea, to turn, let's call the old school philately, so the stamp collecting into the digital world. For example, this crypto stamp of the Swiss Post, version 1 was launched last November, was sold out in a few hours. So 175,000 physical pieces were sold out. So it's even a good business for Post, the Post company. Now, one other outlet where we see these NFTs used more and more is their usage in the metaverse, in this virtual world, used quite a lot in the gaming industry, where it was already in use for some time. You have this digital world, this gaming world, where you participate, when you play, and then you have all these wearables, collectibles that you can buy in there. And more these collectibles and items that you buy in a game are represented in form of a NFT based on a blockchain. And another thing is you have more and more of these metaverses, basically virtual world, where you can go in there and interact. Many of these elements you see in the metaverse are in form of an NFT. For example, crypto voxels is one of these virtual world, where the actual land in the virtual world is each piece, each plot, as they call it, is an NFT that you have to buy. So if you want to build something into this metaverse, you need a land plot, and you have to buy that plot. It's in form of an NFT, and only when you own the land plot you can build something. You can build your presence, museum, your own shop, or whatever you wanna build. And if we see the price here, I made a screenshot of this crypto voxels plot number 3. It's some way it has an address like in the real world. Costs 2.4 ether depending on the daily price, but it's quite a few. It's quite some money that you have to put down to own a piece of land in the digital world. And so how do these NFT work? A little bit without going into too many detail, but basically the life cycle of an NFT has basically three phases, so to speak. It's the so-called minting, which is the very act of creating the token. You usually do this in a smart contract on a blockchain. There is some function that says now this token exists. This is the ID, the serial number, so to speak, and that is it. And now you can assign that token to a holder, and that's why you say you hold these tokens. Basically, you hold these tokens in a wallet. It can be on a mobile phone. You have mobile, a web-based wallet. You have hardware wallet. However you want to keep your tokens and cryptocurrencies. And then the third phase, I said here trading, but basically it's using them or trading them for something else. You can use them if the token, for example, has attached the right to access some content, like a paywall. You can use the token as a login item, login system, or you can trade them. You can sell them to the next one for hopefully a higher price for what you have paid for. But that's basically the short life cycle. There is the creation, then you can hold them, and then you can use them in some way or resell them. And usually in the digital art, for example, the token can be so programmed so that at each transfer, at each trade, the author can get his royalties paid, which is an interesting thing for artists that can sell the digital their digital art, and they can really participate also in the trading and in the what we call the secondary market. And I have to click a few things here. So behind the scenes, how it's built, how such an NFT is built is basically there's a token on a blockchain, and this is stored on a blockchain in a smart contract. So the smart contract, there is one smart contract for each of these tokens, these collections, let's call them, that manages these tokens, manages basically how many tokens there are, the serial numbers of these tokens, and who owns which token. Then the smart contract also has the information about the metadata attached to this token. What is basically attached to this token, and if there are media files, what is where is this media file stored and how to access it. Now, these media files, and that's an interesting part, is which can be the picture itself, the movie in the case of the crypto stamps, the information about the product, if you have like a piece of garment that you can scan and see the history of the product. Usually all these information is not stored on the blockchain together with the token, but it's stored somewhere else. And that somewhere else can be basically anywhere on the internet. And I can show you quickly, and this is where also the more legal part to this idea comes into the picture, because the question is, okay, what is actually linked to the token? What rights can be attached to that token? What happens if the file that is linked to this token in the smart contract is not there anymore, and all sorts of complications that can arise from this, let's say, unlinking, if you want, or the fact that an NFT as a whole has basically many storage parts. There are parts on the blockchain and there are parts that are not on the blockchain. And basically then there is the goodies, as I call them, attached to that. So it can be, as I said, a website that has a paywall that you need a token to access. It can be even a physical venue. If you have a VIP ticket to a concert that is an NFT, represented as an NFT, and then you have to go physically there and show that you own this NFT, and then you can go to this VIP area to the concert, and so on. So sorry, I had an animation here. I forgot about that. So, but basically that's the three components of an NFT is the blockchain part, let's say the recording and the tracking and bookkeeping, so to speak, of the token itself. Then you have all medias and all files attached to that token that resides somewhere. And then you have the utility or usage, let's say, things that can be attached to that token, websites, access to physical venues, and so on. And I think with that, I am done with the part on the NFT, more like the explanation, how do they work, what you can do with it.
Thank you, Christian, very much. Now let's give floor to Bogdan, and then we will see if there is a questions.
Absolutely. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Bogdan, here you go.
Thank you, Jovana. Thank you, Christian, for your part of the presentation. I will just share the screen with you. Just a sec. I suppose everyone sees it now?
Yes, we can see it.
So just before starting with the presentation, let me just introduce myself more briefly, just for you guys to know who you are listening to. As Jovana said, my name is Bogdan Vujović. I'm primarily lawyer and secondarily economist. So just to be aware of that. Joanna mentioned that I'm the author of the book, A Guide Through the World of Digital Assets and DeFi. That's the first book covering topics such as crypto assets, tokenization, blockchain, DeFi, legal framework, etc. That is the first book covering those aspects in Serbian. So if you are guys interested in that, just to know that there is a book covering all those areas. Okay, when it comes to company I'm working in, the name of that company is Eko Digital. We are the first tokenization advisory company in Serbia, and for all of you to be just to get a picture of what are we doing, there is a short script of the things. So how do we do business? First of all, we do the analysis of the business model or project proposal, meaning that we analyze your business model or your proposal just to see if you are eligible for tokenization or not, because not all businesses are eligible for tokenization, nor for the use of blockchain technology. After that, we are doing the testing of token use case. We need to see if the token use case is applicable in a concrete business model. After that, we are doing the tokenization and tokenomics strategy, meaning that it is a document and we need to be sure that tokenization is good for that business. After that, we are doing token modeling. It includes legal, tax, and accounting. After that, technical part, token programming. After that, we are doing the white paper approval, which is very important regulatory thing here in Serbia, as well as in other jurisdictions. And after that, the final step would be the primary token distribution. So, since we have limited amount of time today, we can cover only few areas. The first one would be NFT classification. We will just go very briefly about some things I think you need to be aware of. And basically we will be covering two very important legal topics regarding NFT. The first is NFT and copyright, and the second is taxation of NFT. I would like to point out that we will be focusing on Serbian law because you guys are from Serbia, okay? But when it comes to copyright, especially to copyright, the situation is more or less same as well as in Serbia, as well as in other jurisdictions. And when it comes to taxation, it is pretty much the same, but not completely same. So we can start now. You all heard for the term crypto assets, and NFT is a type of crypto assets. NFT is not the same as a cryptocurrency. I'm sure that most of you are more familiar with the term cryptocurrency than crypto assets. We will see what's the difference, but just to be aware that NFT is not the same as a cryptocurrency. So what are the crypto assets? Because we said that NFT is a type of crypto assets. Crypto assets are basically a digital record of value that can be digitally bought, sold, exchanged, and traded, and that can be used as a medium of exchange or for investment purposes. And of course, crypto assets do not include digital currency records that are legal tender, meaning that dinar is not crypto asset, dollar is not crypto asset, euro is not crypto assets. You all probably know that we have crypto assets law. It came into force in June last year, and the National Assembly of Serbia adopted it in the December of 2020, meaning that we are among the first, not just European, but world countries with a crypto assets law. And just to mention that there is not still uniform regulatory regime in European Union. There is something called MiCA. MiCA means Market in Crypto Assets Regulation, but as I said, it is just a proposal. It is not effective law. Why is that important? Because as you all know, European Union is primarily the unique market, unique single market with how many people? For even, I don't know, less than 500 million people. And there is not a uniform regulatory regime for crypto assets, whereas there is unique regulatory regime, for example, banks and other financial institutions, meaning that if you want to conduct any kind of crypto business within the European Union, you have to be compliant in every single jurisdiction, meaning that maybe laws in Germany, France, or Austria are different. Whereas if you are planning to do banking business or, I don't know, insurance business, those laws are pretty much similar or pretty much same. So just to be aware of that. Okay. As I said, there are two types of crypto assets. First is digital token. NFT is a digital token, so it's more important to us. Basically, digital token is a type of crypto assets, meaning that any intangible property rights that are in digital form or that are in some other form, not digital, can be included in that digital token. And also the holder of digital token may have the right to be provided with certain services. On the other hand, we have something called virtual currency, which is actually the same as cryptocurrency. And it's a type of crypto asset that is not issued and whose value is not guaranteed by the central bank or any other public authority. And as we mentioned, is not necessarily tied to a legal tender and doesn't have the legal status of money or currency, but it is accepted by natural or legal person as a medium of exchange. So to conclude, there is no special legal framework for NFT. NFTs are in our Serbian law are just type of digital token, meaning that everything what is related to digital token in our crypto assets law, that's for NFT. Why is that important? Because if you are doing anything with virtual currency, you will be dealing with National Bank of Serbia as a regulator for virtual currency. Whereas if you are doing anything related to digital tokens, including NFT, you will be dealing with Security Exchange Commission. Okay, Christian just briefly mentioned the tokenization. Actually, tokenization is just a process of making a digital representation of an asset using blockchain technology. And there are two major classifications of the digital tokens. First one is due to the token's purpose, and we have security tokens. Security tokens are basically financial instruments in a form of a token issued on a blockchain. We have utility tokens. Utility tokens are primarily used as a means of payment or exchange for some goods or services within a certain ecosystem. We have asset tokens. Asset tokens meaning that in asset tokens, there is incorporated ownership or commercial rights upon some property, for example, real estate, oil, gold, etc. There are payment tokens. Payment tokens are basically decentralized payment protocols like Bitcoin, Litecoin, or Monero. They're just, they use is for payment. And of course, we have hybrid tokens. Hybrid tokens would be, as its name suggests, the mixture of two or more token types. The second classification will be fungible versus non-fungible. Christian also mentioned that, so I won't be bothering you with that, but I would like to point out the main difference between fungible and non-fungible token is in the content they store. Why? Because fungible token, like Bitcoin, for example, they store value, whereas NFT store data. And those data, for example, can be academic title, artwork, or any kind of property right, as we said. I'm not saying that data stored in NFT do not have a value. They have a value, but you can see that there is a clear difference between storing value and storing data which has value by itself. Or maybe the data do not have value, but let's say that they do have a value. Okay, we are going to the NFT and copyright. That is the first of the two legal topics that we will cover today. Basically, there is no restriction of what physical commodity or asset can be converted and sold as an NFT. In other words, it means that anything that can be digitized can be turned into an NFT. But the question is, for example, does the owner of NFT is owner of the physical art? Because in my opinion, it is one of the biggest misconceptions when we are talking about NFT and art, or for that matter, NFT and any kind of asset. Why? Because NFT is on the blockchain. NFT only exists in the digital world, whereas painting, for example, exists only in the physical world. If we take physical painting, for example, of course, it can be a digital painting or some kind of digital art as well. What does it mean? It means that ownership of an NFT can be used to give the NFT owner substantial control over a painting, for example, but that control is not automatic. It is not something that is automatic, and it must be arranged, and we will see how. Copyright law does not give an NFT owner any rights unless the author takes affirmative steps to transfer certain rights. What would be the best way to do that? By having the copyright license to the work connecting to the NFT in a legally recognized form. And that would be some kind of agreement of transferring those rights. And we will see how. But before that, anyway, what is a copyright anyway? I mean, in essence, copyright is an original spiritual creation of the author expressed in a certain form, completely regardless of its artistic, scientific, or other value, purpose, size, content, manner of manifestation. And what I would like to point out that there are potentially two copyrights, one copyright on the NFT and other copyright on the painting. Of course, there can be a situation that we have two different authors, one author for the NFT and the other author for the painting, or we can have only one author, which would be the simpler situation. One author meaning that that person is an author of the painting in the physical world and author on the NFT in the digital world. And the question would be, if we know that, the question would be, if I make an NFT that looks exactly the same as a painting, am I violating someone else's copyright? We know that there are some, when we talk about copyright, I mean, what is the copyright? We told what is the copyright in terms of original spiritual creation, but there are some more rights to that copyright. And basically there is a division of copyright to moral copyright and commercial rights of the author. And the author can can express those rights from the moment of the creation of the copyright. In our example, that copyright would be painting. So what would be the moral rights? Well, the first moral rights would be paternity right, meaning that I, as an author, I have the right to be recognized as the author of that work. There is a right to have author's name indicated, meaning that whenever that copyright or work is exposed, I, as an author, have a right for my name to be indicated so everyone can see that I'm the author of that work. Of course, I, as an author, I have a right to publish. I have the right to protect the integrity, meaning that I can oppose, if someone wants to change or modify my work, I can oppose to them. And there is a right to oppose indecent exploitation of my work, meaning that if someone makes a fun out of my work and doing something badly, I can say to them, no, I'm the author of that work, you cannot do that. What is important from a legal point of view is that moral rights cannot be transferred via contract. On the other hand, we have commercial rights. Some of the most important commercial rights would be right to reproduction, right to put copies of the work into circulation, right to list copies of the work, etc. Basically, commercial rights are all about making money out of that copyright. So the name commercial. And what is important is that commercial rights can be transferred via contract. Moral rights cannot be transferred via contract, and commercial rights can be transferred. So, to sum up, if you want to purchase NFT, you should understand that the intellectual property rights, including copyrights, because we have been focused only on copyright now, the copyright belong to the NFT creator or NFT seller. In some cases where the issuer of an NFT is a content creator, which will be the usual case, that content creator owns intellectual property rights, including copyright to that NFT, meaning that, as we said, only the content creator or the author of that copyright has the right to use, copy, or modify the content, and obviously only the author can grant these rights to the buyer. So what does it mean in practice? It means that if you, as an issuer, you receive some content from the NFT creator, that you will receive only rights that the NFT creator assigned to you. Later, if you want to sell that NFT, of course, you will be only able to assign these limited rights that you have acquired to the next buyer, meaning that the next buyer cannot have more rights than you had. It's very, very simple logic. So when you purchase an NFT, you are not acquiring the underlying work, in our example, that was a painting, and you are not acquiring all company rights. Instead, you just buy the metadata associated with the work, which is definitely not the same as the work itself, meaning that your purchase guarantees you exclusive rights to possess that particular NFT, but that purchase doesn't guarantee you anything beyond that, unless it is there is some kind of transfer of commercial rights, which is usually not the case. And we have an example. You all probably heard of Jack Dorsey. He's the founder, and as far as I know, he is not current CEO of Twitter, but basically he was a man number one in Twitter. He sold his tweet to the platform, and the platform characterized that purchase as an autographed certificate of the tweet, and they explicitly wrote in the terms of the sale that any purchase will not transfer the copyright in the tweet to the purchaser. What does it mean? It means that someone paid $2.9 million for that NFT purchase, and even though the buyer spent nearly $3 million on that purchase, the buyer will not be able to use the tweet itself, meaning that that buyer cannot, for example, print that tweet on the shirt and sell it without the permission of Jack Dorsey, because Jack Dorsey still owns all the copyrights. In essence, that tweet can only be commercially used if Dorsey transferred those intellectual property rights to the NFT holder, but that's not the case. What is the situation here? Well, I suppose that the man who spent 2.9 million for NFT purchase of Jack Dorsey first tweet ever on the Twitter platform, I suppose he's planning to sell it for more than 2.9 million, but as far as I know, that hasn't happened, or maybe that will never happen. So that would be about NFT and copyright. Now we are going to the second topic, and the second topic is, as we said, NFT and taxation. When we are talking about NFT and taxation, basically we are having two types of taxpayers. First one would be natural persons, and second would be legal entities. We will firstly speak about natural person. Well, tax rate for natural person, tax on capital gain, is 15%. What is the tax base? Easily, it's the difference between the documented sales price and the purchase price. What is important for all of you to understand and to be aware of is that creating NFT In other words, minting NFT is not taxable. Only selling of that NFT or other crypto assets as well is taxable. NFT, or to be more precise, capital gains, capital tax gains for natural persons is not included in the annual person income tax. So if you make a lot of money out of selling NFT, you will not be obliged to include that income in your annual person income tax, whereas, for example, your salary is automatically included in annual person income tax. I'm not sure if you know, but in essence, everyone who has 3 times average annual salary in Serbia is obliged to pay annual person income tax. But that's story for some other time. When it comes to purchase price of NFT, it is the price that the taxpayer documents as actually paid. What does it mean in practice? It means that you as a taxpayer, you can document what is the price at which you bought NFT. You could bought NFT both in the country and abroad. It doesn't matter. You can buy it from an authorized crypto service asset providers, in other words, some kind of crypto exchange, whereas the sale price would be the price at which you made a sale, again, using a crypto exchange or some other crypto asset service provider. Also, you can buy and sell, you can document the sales and purchase price with some kind of contract. I'm not sure whether it would be eligible good enough for our tax administration, but that's another story. But at the end of the day, you can always make the definite proof that some transaction has happened. Why? Because you have a blockchain proof. I mean, every kind of NFT transfer is registered on the blockchain. And of course, you have a bank account. So basically, you can document the price, of course, if you can. Okay. The next is... Okay. What is interesting to know is that there is a tax exemption of 50% for you as a natural person, meaning that if you invest your funds that you get from the selling NFT within 90 days from that moment, and if you invest that money in the basic capital of a resident company in Serbia, or if you invest that capital in an investment fund in Serbia, you can have tax exemption of 50%, meaning that your tax rate wouldn't be 15, your tax rate would be 7.5%. There is another interesting thing. If the natural person in Serbia holds NFT or any other crypto assets in possession for more than 10 years, that person will not be obliged to pay capital gains tax. It is a good to hear, it's good on the paper, but in practice, it's almost impossible. Why? Because you know that Bitcoin as the first and most important cryptocurrency is in circulation for only 13 years. And some other cryptos like Ethereum, Monero, Litecoin are significantly less than 13 years or 10 years for that matter. So in practice, it will be very difficult to find a taxpayer who will be able to document holding any type of crypto asset continuously for at least 10 years, not to mention that I don't know that anyone can possess and continuously hold NFT for 10 years because NFT are not as old as Bitcoin and other cryptocurrencies. So for now, it will be just a theoretical possibility. Also, it is interesting to point that, for example, Germany does not tax crypto assets, including NFTs, with capital gains tax if the holding period is longer than 12 months, which is 10 times shorter than in Serbia. So it is an interesting thing to be aware of. Okay. When it comes to some kind of a procedure for submitting tax documents, there is no any kind of special procedure. What you as a natural person need to know is that you are obliged to submit a tax return within 120 days, starting from the expiry of the quarter in which NFT has been sold. And based on that application that you submit, the tax administration issues a decision on the payment of tax on capital gains. In practice, unfortunately or not, it is something that is not happening. I mean, in my personal informations are that tax administrations hasn't issued a single decision of payment of tax on capital gains. I heard that some tax administrations, some smaller places in Serbia did that, but let's say that it's just an unconfirmed information. What is also problematic in this scenario is that there can be, what if you do the trading of NFTs on a daily basis? In that case, there will be a huge number of applications for huge number of transactions in a certain period, and it won't be possible for tax administrations to cope with that. What is also the interesting is that unlike real estate and shares, for example, where it is completely realistic to expect that there will be a large number of smaller individual transactions, in case of crypto assets or NFTs, there will be a lot of smaller transactions in a very short period of time. So that is something that we need to be aware of, and it's something that should definitely be fixed. And it remains to be seen how it will be solved in practice. One possible solution is that you are obliged to submit a tax return, meaning the tax application, only for the transaction when you are completely exiting from crypto to fiat. Okay, the last slide for the NFT taxation of natural persons is about property law taxations. I'm not sure if you are aware, but NFTs and crypto assets for that matter, but now we are focused only on NFTs. NFTs are subject to inheritance and gift tax. The rate for inheritance and gift tax is 2.5% of the, of course, market value of the NFT, which is received as a gift or inherited. It definitely remains questionable how the tax administration will interpret this provision and what will be the reference value, because as you know, there is a considerable volatility of all crypto assets on a daily basis. And for that matter, it is much easier, for example, to see what was the value for Bitcoin on 4th October of 2022 than for some kind of NFT. Why? Because for Bitcoin, which is the biggest cryptocurrency, there is a specialized website, CoinMarketCap, which gives you the daily and accurate prices of every kind of cryptocurrencies. But for the NFTs, that's usually not the case. I mean, it is possible, but it will be harder. We said that the tax rate is 2.5%, but there are sometimes types of tax exemptions. For example, in the first hereditary line, meaning descendants and spouse, there is no tax obligation at all. In second hereditary line, meaning spouse, parents and their offspring, there is 1.5% tax. And in the third hereditary line, or if there is no any kind of relation, then we have a 2.5% as a tax rate. It is interesting to know that there is no tax on a gift up to 100,000 dinars from the same person during the calendar year, meaning that it is possible to make a gift in the form of NFT to another person, and that gift is not taxable if it is less than 100,000 dinars. Now we are going to the taxation of legal entities. Legal entities also pay tax on capital gains. The tax rate is the same, 50%. The law says that the tax base is the difference between the documented sales price and the purchase price. What is the sales price? It is the price that you can document that you sold your NFT for that price, and you can easily do that through the exchange. You can also do that via contract, and if you're doing that via contract, the proof would be, as we said, blockchain transaction and bank account transaction. You can easily compare these two, and you can claim that that is the price in which I sold the NFT. But when it comes to purchase price, there is one very interesting question: what can be documented as the cost of creating or minting NFT? Because our law had in mind the mining, and we all know what is the mining. If you want to, for example, mine Bitcoin or some other cryptocurrency, you need to buy a very expensive mining equipment. You need to pay for the electricity costs and so on. And it is very, how to say it, reasonably what would be the expenses in that matter. But if we are talking about creating or minting NFT, since the NFT is not mineable, you don't have an expensive mining equipment to create NFT, there is an open question: what would be the costs which you can document for creation of NFT? Maybe that could be the salary of some people who are employed, or the salary of the artists who are creating NFT. Maybe the marketing cost would be acceptable as a cost for the tax purposes. In my best knowledge, that we in Serbia do not have a practice on that question, so it yet remains to be seen how the tax administration will look upon this. There is one big difference when we speak about capital gains. There is a big difference in the payment of tax on capital gains between natural persons and entrepreneurs. On one side, they are obliged to pay tax on realized capital gains upon its realization, meaning that they need to submit a tax return within 120 days from the expiry of quarter when realization of capital gains happened. While for legal entities, there is a completely different situation. Why? Because for legal entities, capital gains are included as revenues in tax base, which will later be taxed with corporate income tax. And of course, for legal entities, there is a much greater opportunities for manipulation in financial statements. Also, there is a tax relief for legal entities as well, meaning that capital gains which are realized from the sale of the NFT are not included in the tax base if the funds from that sale are invested in that tax period in the basic capital of a resident taxpayer or in an investment fund in the Republic of Serbia. Actually, it is pretty much the same as for the natural persons, but here there is complete relief, 100%. You don't pay capital gains tax on that if you are a legal entity. If you are a natural person, you have only the exemption of 50%. And the last slide for today's webinar would be the NFT pledge. Why I think it's important? Because now when we have a law, crypto assets have become a legal category, meaning that they're now a recognized asset type. They are not they're not in any kind of legal vacuum as they used to be. What does it mean in practice? It means that now it is possible to establish a pledge on crypto assets as well as on any other forms of property. For example, a real estate, car, whatever. But taking into account the very nature of crypto assets, the law on crypto assets prescribes that the pledge can be acquired by entering the right of pledge in a register maintained by the crypto asset service provider that has the appropriate license. In other words, now, for the first time, it is possible, there is a legal possibility to use crypto assets, including NFTs, as a collateral for the performance of a contractual obligation. And according to our regulations, that can be done in two ways. First one, with the help of third party, that is a mentioned register of pledge for crypto assets. In this particular moment, that is not possible. Why? Because we do not have any authorized crypto asset service provider, someone with a license to do that. But we have other possibility, and that is called a fiduciary. Basically, that can be done right now. The creditor can use collateralized NFT, meaning that the creditor can deposit, stake, sell until the debt is repaid. What does it mean in practice? It means that if I am the debtor, meaning that I owe someone money and I have some NFT, I can transfer that NFT to the creditor, and according to this legal institute, the creditor can use my NFT. He can use it, he can deposit somewhere, he can stake it, he can be staking, meaning that the creditor can get some kind of interest on that. Also, the creditor is allowed to sell that NFT unless otherwise is arranged until I repay the debt, meaning that only when I, as a debtor, repay the debt, I can say to the creditor, now when I repaid you your money, please give back to me my NFT. So just to conclude, there is a possibility now in this moment to use NFT as well as other type of crypto assets as a pledge in a Serbian legal system. And that's really basically it. Thank you for your attention. I will be glad to answer any kind of questions.
Thank you, Bogdan. Okay, so we have a first question. And I believe this is for maybe Christian. What are the key areas or industries where NFT as a technology can be used in the future according to your experience and knowledge? And just to add, of course, value is in the eyes of a buyer, meaning that many will give value to some collectibles just because they expect to sell it for higher price later. The question is connected with areas where the technology has real use, meaning to solve some problems.
All right. So the first question, where can be used? Anywhere. Of course, what we've seen is in art, and now really, so let's say more like in the entertainment industry. They're very widely used, mostly for collectibles type of things, or as I was saying, so some gaming platforms have in-game items like swords and things that you can buy that are represented as NFT that you can resell. The one thing that I've mentioned, one possible use case, I'm not sure that there is the concert ticket or entry ticket. Basically, each ticket is by definition an NFT. It can be done completely digitally. There are solutions based on blockchains already, whether you can they call them NFTs or not is, in my opinion, more like a term and a usage of words. But the notion, the concept is exactly the same. You buy a ticket, a concert ticket. It's yours. It's for you. It's the one seat number, I don't know, 111. That is an NFT completely digitally as a token onto a blockchain. For those, there are no secondary market yet. For example, you cannot resell, so you can only use it. But I think it's imaginable that sooner or later there will come a marketplace where if you have a ticket and you don't want to go, you want to resell it, you will, if you're allowed to do, like Bogdan was saying, depends on what rights you have acquired with that, and that is in the paperwork. You can resell it or not, or under which conditions. But that's one usage. Otherwise, as I said, in the fashion industry, we see more and more. You buy a piece of cloth in real life. That cloth is attached. The garment is attached to an NFT that is let's say a replica, usually a replica that you can wear virtually in one of the metaverses. So if you have an avatar in the metaverse and you just bought your, I don't know, Gucci bag, you have your digital Gucci bag. There is really a digital rendering of that bag in a specific metaverse. So that's the first question. As I said, the technology has been around. The usage has been done mostly in this art and funny picture things. Now we see more and more entertainment, fashion, more industry driven. You can think of, in principle, is each product that you sell that has a serial number can be represented as an NFT, and then you can, you know, track it. I'm not saying it's been done in the form like we have just described NFTs, but there are already track and trace solution based on blockchain that track each item. So, but that's in fact an NFT has as a unique ID attached to a unique object, and you can, you know, track it. So we'll see more and more usage of the technology. Paywalls, access to content, you know, a coupon systems. There are many usage, and it's basically a way of, you know, digitalizing things that today are mostly done otherwise, you know, on paper or so. So the second question was more like what is it worth, right? So that's the big question. So Bogdan has also mentioned, does it have any value? In principle, not. So unless it's legal tender, like he was saying, it's a currency and has you know, it's a piece of digital euro, and then, you know, it's worth €1. But the point is, for anything else, the value is in the eye of the holder or beholder. So what is it worth to you? You tell me. There is a marketplace, and I can try to sell it, and if someone buys it, then that's the value. If you would represent, for example, diplomas, you know, university diplomas, as an NFT, those are by definition non-transferable. So it doesn't have a market price, but it has a specific value. If you apply for a job, it's valued more or less, depends on, you know, on who validates it, or so that is the point. But that is something that's the free market. And if you have one piece of one item, digital, physical, if you find someone who buys it from you at a higher price, like this tweet of Jack Dorsey, the first tweet, a picture of it, basically a screenshot. If that guy who spent like 3 million to buy that, if he can find the next fool and can sell it for more, then good for him. Otherwise, it's 3 million, let's say, parked.
Okay.
So I hope that answers the question.
Thank you. The next one will be for Bogdan. The question is it possible and how NFT can be used as investment capital in the company?
Mm-hmm. It's a good question. In essence, you can use NFT, not just NFT, but digital tokens for that matter, as an investment investment capital in a company. The short answer would be yes, but it's a little bit of a tricky question, because the law on crypto assets law says that non-pecuniary contributions to the company can be only in digital tokens, which are not related to providing of any type of services or performing any work. So if that particular token does not give you a right to claim for someone to provide you some services or for someone to provide you a certain work, then those digital tokens can be non-pecuniary capital in a company.
Okay, thank you, Bogdan. The next will be maybe again from Christian. Would it be possible to distribute services such as legal, accounting, and etc., like NFTs?
If I interpret this question, I think it's meant to be as a coupon, you know, a sort of a prepayment. You buy an NFT from me for, I don't know, half a day of work or some kind of service, and then you can redeem it at some point, right? So that's I think the question. So in that sense, yes, it's the coupon case, so to speak, or you know, as a gift card, right? So you have gift cards for, I don't know, movie theater or something. That's I think the case mentioned here. So yes, in that case, yes.
Okay.
I would just like to add to yes, it can be done in the form of NFT, but also it can be done in a form of fungible tokens.
Yeah.
And also,
it depends on the type of service. 1 hour of my time, then we just schedule. But if it's, seat number 34 at the movie theater, XYZ at that specific time, then it's more like, the specific one. But yeah, in principle, it's a coupon.
Yeah, but I would also like to stress out one thing, because if there are some lawyers or a registered attorney at law here in Serbia who are listening to this webinar, you know that according to rules and codex of Serbian bar, you cannot advertise yourself, you cannot marketing yourself. So if, for example, you as a registered attorney at law plan to issue some kind of NFT or fungible token, which will be used as a coupon, giving your clients discount to your services, in my opinion, it's legally possible, but you just need to be aware of the fact that you are prohibited from doing any kind of marketing activities related to your legal profession services.
Yeah.
Okay.
So maybe if I can add a disclaimer overall.
Yes.
First of all, what I'm saying is more like from the feasibility perspective, can you do it? That's my kind of questions. Are you allowed to do it? That's more Bogdan. So of course, if it's not allowed by law, then even if it's technically possible, then you shouldn't do it. So it's mine is no financial or legal advice. So be aware of that.
Okay, thank you. So this question will be, I suppose, for both of you, but who knows the answer? Which country is good to open a company that could have capital in NFTs?
As I already mentioned, that is theoretically possible here in Serbia to have the capital of a company in NFT, but we need to be aware of, we need to firstly check what are the rights incorporated in that NFT. As I said, the provision in crypto assets law is pretty much unclear, but I would say that there is a theoretical possibility to do that in Serbia.
Okay. Thank you, Bogdan. And one last question from my side. Bogdan, do you have some example of successful maybe NFT or tokenization process or practices in Serbia for us to share with?
Well, unfortunately, what can I disclose and what is publicly known is that unfortunately for now, we have only one token white paper, which is approved by Serbian Exchange Commission, and it is a company called FinSpot. They are basically a factoring company. They're doing a factoring, which is a type of financial services, and they have issued a token, which is in essence a tokenized bond. They could acquire the necessary capital in other ways as well, but they obviously decided to do that by issuing tokens. Why? In my personal opinion, the reason number one is the pure marketing and hype. I mean, they got so much marketing and public noise by being the first company to issue and basically have approved white paper by the Serbian Exchange Commission, and they get the noise they wanted. But other than that, I cannot disclose in this particular moment any kind of projects that will be here in the near future.
Okay, thank you. So let me just check if there is, okay. For now, yes, we do not have any new questions. I just want to thank you both for taking time to be here with us today and for sharing your knowledge. It was very clear and very fun, so thank you again. And thank everybody who was also here today watching this. And I'm saying goodbye to some other opportunity to meet.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Nice to have you.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.